Hello and welcome. So, given that we have a vertex at negative 15, 6 and the directrix at x equals negative 20, write the equation for a parabola. Alright, well, first off, you got to figure out which direction you're facing on this one. And it's not too bad. The biggest thing is just kind of graph it to get a general idea. Okay, now for these ones, you don't actually have to graph it to see what's happening. You can just kind of, if you know your definitions well enough, you shouldn't need to. So suffice to say, this one's kind of big, so I'm just going to say that right there, negative 20. Right? Here's your negative 20, and then there's your directrix. Right? X equals is a vertical line. So right then and there, you should know that your parabola has to be it has to be horizontal. It's either going to the left or going to the right. Okay, and we know it's going to the right because your vertex is at negative 15, comma 6. So it has to be up here. Well, bam! That's most of the work. Because remember, for a parabola, you have a couple of pieces that are really important to it. You have the focus, you have the vertex, and you have the directrix. Right? The directrix is always behind the parabola, which means that any other point is going to be where it opens at. Right? So vertex, bam, it's got to be doing something like that. Okay, do I know exactly what it is? No. Do I need to? Not for writing the equation. Okay, so now we look at this and I'd say, okay, well, how do we know the relationship between a directrix and a vertex? Well, that's always going to be a distance of p. Always, hands down, even if it's vertical, right? If you have a vertical parabola, vertex, here's your directrix, that's still a distance of p. If it's a vertical parabola facing down, still a distance of p to go the other way, right? It's always a p distance from vertex to directrix, whether it's horizontal or vertical. Well, we know that as well, right? How do we go from negative 15 to negative 20? That's 5 right there. Okay, now specifically, you're facing right, meaning you're going positively, right? You're going in a positive direction, which means we have a positive p-value, right? And how you can also figure this out is you could also do this with a formula, right? X equals, and because you're facing horizontally, that's going to be an h minus p. Well, we know our h is negative 15, and then if we know that the actual value of our directrix is going to be minus p, and we know the value, there we go, the directrix is negative 20. So if we set that up as an equation, right, add 15, negative 5 equals negative p equals 5, right? That's another way to do it, is to solve it like that. Okay, so that means that now we know pretty much all of the information we need to, right? We have a vertex. Remember, any vertex can be written as h comma k, right? Meaning that if we know it's negative 15, 6, which is what we're given, we know our h is now negative 15, and we know our k is 6. That's literally all of the work right there. Because we have two general equations for a parabola. First off, if it's vertical, then it's going to be x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k. And then if it's horizontal, then it's going to be y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. Alright, so either way, the only difference is that you'll see the square on the other parenthesis, and whatever parenthesis isn't being squared has the 4p. Alright, so vertical, it's going x is squared, 4p is then with the y. Right? Horizontal, y is squared, 4p with the x. Alright, so because we're working with a horizontal parabola, we're going to be looking at this equation in particular, and you'll notice that the only variables are the ones we just found. K, p, and h. There's your p, there's your k, there's your h. Plug them in. Okay, literally that's all we're doing. So we have y minus k, which we said was 6, squared, equals 4 times our p-value, 5, times x minus our h, which is negative 15. Alright, and then all we have to do is essentially just simplify that up a little bit. Y minus 6, that can't be simplified. So y minus 6 squared equals 4 times 5, 20. And then x minus a negative, that's the same thing as just addition, x plus 15. And there you go. That is your equation for the parabola. Alright, thanks for watching.